Welcome, guys, to tonight's show of Git Good. It is 9:24, and today you have your hosts, Bellator Lucis and Commander Caine, along with our guest, Genos Axel. And tonight we will be discussing his post on Famfrit rating, the Famfrit rating teams. And we'll have the link in the description. Ask him a couple questions about that, and then we'll transition to our patch 3.4 notes, the preliminary notes, and our discussion on those. Now, thank you guys for joining us. For those of you watching on the stream, there are a ton of people. I'm actually going to just pan the camera around real quick. There's a ton of people out here to support us today. We've got these people that showed up, these lovely people that showed up before the show even started and hung out with us and just chatted. So, just really quick shout out to them. Thank you guys for joining. Without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic over to Caine and we'll get this show on the roll.
All right, so I have a few questions for Genos. Uh, so tell me, of all the MMOs that you have to select from, what made you come to Final Fantasy versus, say, World of Warcraft or, God, I don't even know how many, Star Wars, whatever that one is?
Oh man, these questions are already loaded and we're not even 5 minutes in. No, I'm just kidding. I actually used to play WoW, but only up until Burning Crusade. The reason why I came into Final Fantasy XIV was because they had their 2.55 patch right around when Heavensward was dropping, and I decided to just give the game a try. So I tried out the free trial, and then even though I thought the questing at the beginning was terrible, I kind of stuck through it, and then I just kept playing until Heavensward. So I actually thought that outside of the questing at the beginning, the game was actually really nice. And there isn't an MMO currently that has the graphics that this game has, and I really didn't want to go to Tree of Savior or some of the other games.
Okay, good, good. Oh man, this was about me. I had played RuneScape before this. That was one of the last MMOs I'd played back in like 2008, so it had been a long time. So coming to an MMO where there's actually halfway decent graphics is a huge leap. God, it's amazing. But so about the list for the rating scene, which is extremely small on Famfrit, like how did you compile that list?
Okay, so this is a really good question because I've gotten this question quite a bit, especially in the last 3 days when I think I released the board and with all the graphics and all that. So the way I did it was I looked on FF logs and I already kind of knew the teams to put in. So half this list that you see now, that was already done. I just had to find the rest of them, which were on FF logs, and then a couple of people actually were telling me that they had cleared A5S just as I was about to make the post. So at the last second, the graphic was actually changed to fit in. I think it was Shinra Inc. and Team Knight were the last two to actually enter.
Okay. Yeah, Shinra Inc. is actually my static that I just recently joined. I thought we were one of the newer ones, so that actually makes me really happy that our statics or our rating scene is actually starting to grow and blossom a bit because for a while it had just kind of died out and no one was really trying to form new statics that I had known of.
Yeah, and I really want to point out that I really appreciate the hype and the encouragement that we're seeing here because um that's part of the game. The whole it's definitely fun to clear things and just beat that personal or even that group challenge because you've got 8 or 9 or however many people. Actually, I don't want to belittle the people who are like crafters and gatherers because they also make a huge influence on raid team success. So really what I want to talk about really quick is I appreciate the encouragement that we're getting to foster this raiding scene, and really just take it from not even like it's like I don't even want to. My primary goal isn't to get the rating scene up again. The primary goal is that we enjoy doing this, that everyone is enjoying the competition between each other, everyone is enjoying the ability to share their experience with each other, and just kind of like growing a little community, which is kind of the thing I think for Famfrit. Like we're not a large server of raiders. We have a lot of people, but we don't have that many raiders. Um, and or at least that's what it feels like. I feel like we've got a lot of people who need the encouragement. So posts like yours, hopefully shows like ours, this kind of stuff I hope really starts bringing more and more people out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say I was going to agree entirely with Bellator, because I know a lot of people are just so nervous and scared to try something that's of this nature, because they're just afraid of failing. And the whole enjoyment of it is, once you finally clear something, you get that huge, like, taste of victory, and you're just like, hell yeah, I want to keep progressing and pushing. And we need, I personally want to see more raid groups come in and trying some of this harder content with us.
Yeah, I was looking at the kind of like the progression thread on the official forums, because I had just kind of learned about it, and then I felt like it didn't really reflect rating on Famfrit. So when people look from the outside in, they kind of just look at the official forums, and then they kind of just look at the list and it looks all sad. And I kind of remembered that there are way more groups that were going, especially ones that are on A8 Savage. And I think we just had a completion in the process of this podcast, like just before this. So that's it was something to like see.
There was one last night that got cleared.
That's on advertising and Party Finder right now. Looking for a Dragoon, and they said they had cleared it. I was like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, congrats. Hey guys, and by the way, if you're seeing this, congratulations. You just got a random shout out on our show.
Yeah. And I still have to update the graphic.
Yeah,
is that going to be an ongoing thing? Are you going to be updating the graphic? And if you are,
yes. So
would you like me to help you build tools for you to make it easy?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Easy? I said, and if it's going to be an ongoing thing, would you like me to build a tool to make it easier for you to put it together?
I mean, it would be nice, but right now I might just like close it for 3.2 anyway. But for Midas, it'll come back. I mean, not for Midas, for Creator, it'll come back. But for Midas, I'll probably close it pretty soon here, because I think I've seen enough from at least this raid tier. And then the other thing I wanted to do, which was why I had this idea of the board, was to start doing time trial attacks. So basically, if you have a really fast clear time, I kind of wanted to have a leaderboard for like fast clear times on EX primals, and even in Savage later on. But yeah, I kind of wanted to start with the EX primals because I thought it was an interesting idea. So I think the board would actually be really cool for something like that.
Absolutely. That's what I was thinking too. It's something to show that who could get it done faster. I think that would be like a top tier goal to have. I mean, already clearing it, but having someone trying to up your speed, I mean, that's just going to foster some more of that competition that we were just talking about between people.
And the other thing that I was planning to do with this board, it's because I'm also covering some of the World First race for Creator. And I kind of wanted to test the waters and see how the reception would be to like a graphic kind of like this one for Famfrit. So it seems like a lot of people from outside our server actually like this. I've noticed a lot of people from the Destiny community actually looking at it, and a lot of people from Leviathan. I'm looking at it as well. I did hear that there were a lot of former Famfrit players on Leviathan, but I didn't know how many. But yeah, I was hearing a lot of feedback on it, and I was just like, okay, why not? Like maybe yeah, we'll definitely continue in 3.4. But hopefully the graphic and having your rosters displayed gives some sort of incentive for people to raid and take it up and at least try it.
Oh, absolutely. There's like that, like I said, there's that sense of accomplishment or a sense of teamwork and community when you see who's doing what, and you can talk to these people and get, say you need help at a certain part with something, and someone's able to, help your team progress by talking to you and guiding you essentially through certain parts. I mean, I think it's great to have that roster for everyone to be able to see and to contact other people.
Yeah, and it's definitely like sometimes if you're not in the right link shells or you're not keeping up on the thread or you're not looking on Reddit or whatever, like all the information's out there. It's just it's everywhere. And it's not compiled in one easy to find spot. And sometimes you don't even know who is raiding, right? Getting a substitute
Yeah,
sucks sometimes. Like trying to find someone to fill in. Even if it's someone who will make you get one less chest. Like sometimes you just might not even clear. You just want to raid that night. That kind of fostering the community of not even just knowing who everyone else is, but their progression and whether or not they'd be able and willing to help you. Like that's actually another thing that I think we gloss over, which is the willingness of each other to help each other, whether it's something as simple as like just explaining strats or discussing strats with each other, and then sometimes even going as far as literally subbing for the night and helping the group learn. Like I know there's the race and there's the competition, which is fine and great, but there's also just the sense of accomplishment, the sense of community that would be really good to see.
Absolutely. I mean, when my group had cleared A5S, a lot of them had never, you know, actually cleared it. So when we finally did a couple weeks ago, we had T Bow and oh god, what was her name? Dita Lib. They had subbed in for our off tank and our main healer, and we pushed through it. And I mean, it was only because of networking and knowing people was I able to communicate with T and Dita, or communicate with T mainly, and ask him if he wanted to come help us get the clear, and he was willing to. He stayed with us for one and a half, or our last lockout, which was we almost hit. We were at like 30 minutes left out of the 90-minute instance, so we were in there for a while, and they both stuck with us throughout the entire thing. So I was really happy that they did that for us, and they were willing to stay and teach the other people who hadn't been that far yet.
yeah. For my group, we had Azrael Samaya come in for our A6 Astron for one night, and he just kind of stayed and made sure that we had somebody that night. That was a few weeks ago, I think, maybe even a month ago now. But there were also a few other people that wanted to like just sub for us, just so we have somebody there, which I think is really nice. But I think you were talking about how networking is really important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Knowing people. I mean, I've known David Anderson and Eve Lara since for about the entire time that I've played, and they were actually in my very first raid group with me, and we were just playing grab ass and doing the coils. We cleared T5, we went into T9, and then just things happened, and we kind of split up, went our own separate ways. But I still kept in contact with them, and knowing them, it made it a lot easier to communicate with other raiders in the group or in our small Famfrit community. So
Yeah, I definitely. I don't know if I I think even for Bellator's group, I subbed in for your A7S a long time ago, just so you had somebody to learn it.
Yeah.
To learn it with when y'all still had your hurricane static.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, it's the last thing I want to see is 7 people show up, and for whatever reason, there's a myriad of reasons, and oftentimes they're good reasons. Not trying to put anyone down. Like we just might not have that eighth person, and that eighth person syndrome is the worst because it hurts morale, and you resort to having to do something else. If we have this community where it's like it's not a real problem to pull in someone else, um, like I oh, how do I say this? I'd rather raid and have a sub and potentially have to re-synergize the group and relearn how we work with, like, because even changing one person sometimes changes the dynamic of the group, sometimes changes how you have to handle a couple things. I'd rather do that than do nothing for the night.
Yeah, I don't know, like when you sit on Party Finder for too long and then you end up just disbanding for the night, it kind of feels like a huge waste. But even I've started to make myself more available to for a lot of other groups, just so, like I said before, they have somebody. The other thing, I guess, about the article with the giant board and the graphics, I didn't have everybody. I think there was somebody who asked me about Nijix's group. I think they disbanded way before this graphic was to ever happen. And I was going to give him credit for having the actual being the first person to have cleared all of Savage on our server, but I didn't want to give credit to only one person, but to the groups instead, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, makes perfect sense. They did split up quite a long time ago because I know David was saying that they were getting pretty far in A8S, and then they just kind of disbanded out of nowhere. Apparently, their scholar had some issues that they had to take care of, and he just said, "F it, I'm not coming back." So, and then they just kind of dust in the wind at that point.
Oh, yeah, and you had a question about my actual history with writing articles.
Yeah. I was kind of curious how you got into that whole thing because I know it's not something that people want to jump into immediately or even just kind of haphazardly.
Or even if they want to, like, that sounds really cool to me, but I don't even know how you would start that.
Honestly, I've had this cyberpower column for quite some time. It's just that I never knew what to write, and at the time that I got it, I was still in Dota 2. That's kind of the game that I was playing before this, and my team was supposed to play in their big tournament is the International, and what had happened was I was a sub, but I didn't get called up for a very long time. And when I started this game, I kind of thought about writing this game a little bit more, but what was happening was that I didn't know too much because I think I was only rating Gordius, and I felt like I didn't have the knowledge that I do now to write more about this game. But it's just that recently, with me looking at the progression thread and kind of like looking at the server as a whole, I kind of realized that I could probably make that column into some use. So my first article was actually me interviewing Elysium, the world progression FC on Gilgamesh, and that was a two-parter. The next thing I did was interview Secret Oatmeal because I wanted to get two contrasting points of Alexander Savage and see how people on a smaller server can, like, how are they doing compared to like people who raid 16 hours a day. And for World Prog compared to like I think Secret Oatmeal was doing 3 days for 3 hours a day, so 9 hours a week in total.
Right. Yeah, that's another reason why we kind of started the show too, to kind of contrast, life on a small server versus the big, huge servers that are constantly full and you can't actually get into them. So, I mean, it's a kind of a huge jump from, say, Gilgamesh to where Famfrit sits. I mean, we used to be one of the top tier servers from what I was told when I first started. And now we're what, like third or fourth on the list for rating servers?
You mean third or fourth from the bottom?
Yeah, the bottom.
That's an important.
We're like 56 of 64.
Yeah, if we were third or fourth, that would be amazing.
That would actually be pretty big.
Absolutely, that would be big news for us. But I just kind of got my words mixed up there. Yeah, third or fourth from the bottom. So, I mean, it's...
You hear that, guys? We've got some work to do. Just a little bit.
Absolutely. We got to be top tier. Come on. We got to pull it together.
Yeah,
Looking at David and T.
What's the whole point of the show? What's the name of the show?
It's time to get good. All right. So you ready to hop into the meat of the show now, Patrick?
Sure. So thank you, Genos, for your time on that on your post on what you're doing and what you plan on doing. We also want you here to talk about the preliminary patch 3.4 notes with us, because this is some pretty juicy stuff. And like I was saying earlier when we were discussing the topics, it doesn't have all the stuff I want. There's stuff that, like, item information, stuff we're gonna have to get from data mining. There's just other things that I'm still waiting for, and I'm gonna be like checking daily for. But we still have a lot of really good things in here, and just so that people don't get bored and we don't do the same old thing that everyone's doing, although all their other streamers and YouTubers are doing really great things like going over the entire notes. We'll be going over the parts that stood out to us. We'll be going over the parts that vibe with our experiences and just things we think are really interesting. So for those of you that are still watching with us, thank you for being here. I noticed you guys we appreciate your support. You can follow along with the patch 3.4 notes. We're going down the list. We're not going over everything. And if you have any questions, you want to stop or you want to bring something up, sorry, we can't stop, but we can probably bring up your question from chat, either in game or from the YouTube chat. So the first thing I want to bring up are the quest names. It's a really minor detail, but you gotta love the translation team and what they're doing to kind of tie it in with our culture. Like I have one. If you guys are looking at the notes, I'm gonna just give out some of them. Big in Wedge's excellent adventure. It's just, and then let me Google that for you. They do this every patch, but it's really fun to see. And there's also it's time to duel. That joke's already been made and beat to death, but I'm still gonna do it. And then there's I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but keeping up with the Alaya pose. Now, for a different generation, that was keeping up with the Joneses, and for another generation, that's keeping up with the Kardashians. And I thought my wife would think that one was funny.
I love the pun names that they always throw into the quests and everything, even the fates. I mean, some of them are just like, that they knew what was going on. And it's just freaking hilarious. I die every time I see some of those.
I need to get somebody who can translate and to localize it in a way that relates to us with all of that. Like, I think that's actually amazing. Because even, like you said, with the names of some of the fates, I was like, did they just reference a Notorious B.I.G. song? Like, oh my god.
There's a lot of little goodies and Easter eggs like that, but it's just one of those small things. It's quality of life stuff.
Exactly.
All right, so the next thing on the list that I wanted to bring up was the Grand Company changes. So we got that promotion, finally, one rank up, and a seal cap increase to 80,000, which we'll probably need. And yeah, we'll probably need it for the squads, the Grand Company squads that look like what people keep saying, it's like World of Warcraft garrisons or something like that. So that that looks interesting. And then unfortunately, maybe it's bad news. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think we can glamour them. I don't know. It looks like they have like a set look for that NPC. So there goes my Power Ranger squad.
Yeah. I mean, you could have a full squad of potatoes if you really wanted to. I mean, it's kind of creepy, but awesome at the same time.
Don't lie, you're gonna have one.
You're right. The go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. You guys got anything on that one?
No, I've just been looking forward to finally ranking up for about a year and a half now. So
yeah,
it's about freaking time.
Public service announcement: make sure your caps are sealed, or your seals are capped. All right, I'm mixing the words up. Make sure your seals are capped. And then as for apartments, all right, guys, apartments. Where will you choose? Where will you go? Which apartment will you choose?
Me personally, I'm going to Lavender Bed because I think Mist is hideous and Ul'dah is disgusting anyways. So I live in a desert. Why would I want an apartment in a desert? To hell with that.
Immersion, Caine. Immersion.
No, I don't want to live there as well. I want to live in the forest like I already do with my my main house, and then Shanty and Vay's houses are both in lavender beds, and my new FC house is in the lavender beds. So you know what? I might as well get an apartment in the lavender beds.
It's all lavender beds for you. How about you, Genos?
Exactly.
Where would you like to stay?
Honestly, because I have this house in game in the Goblet, I might just go pick the lavender beds because I want to dodge the taxes.
Oh,
wow. Do I really want to pay 200K more for an apartment? Actually, I might just do it. I might just do it just for the taxes.
Man, that's funny you're doing it for dodging taxes. Lavender beds getting a lot of love right now. We might have to. Well, I almost said we might have to make sure that everyone. Well, it's true that we're not going to run out of apartments anytime soon, just because there's so many. But we might run. I don't think it'll happen, but it is possible to run low on the apartments in the area you want, because sure, there could be 6,000 apartments, but there's only 2,000 in lavender beds. So, that's interesting. I'm actually thinking between Mist and lavender beds, and lavender bed sounds to be pretty popular. I'm actually the reason. So you chose it, Caine. Sounds like you chose it because it's just a lot. You know, a lot of it's already tied to the lavender beds. Genos, I'm pretty sure it's like partially joking, partially legit. You're dodging your taxes there because I totally I teleport around to buy things without being taxed, and I am probably going to choose the apartment based on where I think there will be the most foot traffic and the most people, because that's going to be one of the key things about these apartments is it's a place to socialize, a place to potentially find people.
Absolutely. Didn't you put in the show notes that, I mean, if you could get the whole group of apartments to work together and feed the chocobos, just imagine like the constant experience pool just flooding through there.
Well, you just need one good Samaritan to do it, or several groups of good Samaritan to do like maybe 5 or 6 chocobos at a time, because you can only feed someone else's chocobo once per hour. Then you can feed your chocobo once. But if we band together as a community on Famfrit and other worlds too, if you're listening from other worlds, and we make it like just what's the word? What's the right word for that? A standard thing or just a nice thing to do, which is if you see any chocobos in the apartment stalls, feed them. Especially since if you're already in the Dravanian Forelands and you've done the Beast Tribe quest, the chocobo food is super cheap, and if we just get enough people to do that, like you were saying, it'll be super fast to get your chocobo to level 20. And then never use them again because you can't use them in the yokai fates and you can't use them while you're in roulette. So it's kind of they need to fix that next because I love my level 20 chocobo, but I just can't take them out when I'm in a full party or trying to get into a leveling roulette or something.
Did you know I only had chocobo training? Like I didn't have it until very recently.
You mean you didn't do? Oh, you didn't even unlock it?
No. So
Wow.
in the year and some that I've been playing this game, I actually have been rolling around with no chocobo. So when people would ask for dragon skin maps, they were like, "Oh, can you summon bird?" I'm like, "Can you summon yours?"
My bird will actually be a detriment to the party. Can you bring yours out instead?
And I had no choice. We just had to go. And I don't know. Sometimes I'd have the excuse of like, "Yo, man, I'm tanking right now. I can't do that."
Luckily, very early on, I was told about all of these things. So, I mean, I was pretty happy about it.
All right. Well, just a final reminder: apartments, PSA. Put your chocobos in the stalls. Hopefully, we'll all help each other get our chocobos to level 20. Mine's already 20, but I will still be helping the people in my apartment. So, next thing I want to jump to: aquariums. That looks pretty sweet. And for me, it's the extra large fish or go home. It's I think the first thing I'm gonna put in there is a silver shark because I want to see it. And actually, I was looking at the models for all of the fish, and silver shark might be my favorite. What do you guys? What about you?
I want the Megalodon. That is what I
No,
want. Give me the Megalodon, and I'm good
that's
because
massive.
I'm gonna put it right by my front door, like I block people in. As you would know, I will set it right by my front door, so the first thing you see is my giant Megalodon in your face, and it's going to be awesome.
That's actually what I was going to do, except put like I wasn't going to have any decorations in my house anymore. I was just going to put like slap the aquarium right in the middle of that thing, because like interior decorating, they really only look at your TV in real life, because how a social ladder is determined by what kind of TV you've got for a Super Bowl. So like they don't nobody pays attention to any of that crap anyway. So like they're gonna look at your aquarium like, damn, that's a good fish, and then that's it. They just leave. That's what I'm gonna do.
That is a very valid point.
Oh my goodness! Can we glitch? Yes, can we glitch like a Lalafell into a into an aquarium and just make it look like we got one trapped in there?
That would be amazing. We are going to have to find this out. As soon as it drops, I'm going to need a herd of Lalafells to my house to test this theory to see if we can make it happen.
It's kind of like the last what was it? The last there was like a not a bird cage but a cage with fireflies in it. And it came out in a recent patch. I think it was the last patch. And I put one of my Lalafell. Actually, it's I put Maybelle in there. Because she's a Lalafell, she fits just right in the cage, and it's kind of funny making it look like she's locked up. That's actually right outside of this FC house. If you guys are if you're leaving, stop and take a look at the Chocobo stables and look at the cage right next to it.
Yeah, I've brought people over and they're like, why the hell is there a Lalafell locked up in this cage? And I just start laughing. I'm just like, that's my FC leader. He wanted it, so we just let him have it.
Yeah, those things are fun to find.
Absolutely.
So I had another question, or the follow-up question I put for the aquariums was, can I put legendary fish in there? And apparently, unfortunately, at the moment, no. But they'll be adding more soon, hopefully. I think they said 10 per patch or something. I mean, yeah, let's hope.
Hopefully.
Furnishings. I am both excited and sorry for the other crafters, where furniture was a pretty decent portion of our money-making schemes. Because many are no longer destroyed when you pick them up. So like the ones that are expensive in the first place are no longer destroyed, and you don't have to rebuy it when you're moving or when you want to I don't know, like move it from your FC house to your own house. So that market is pretty much destroyed because I no longer have to rebuy things. But it's also a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've had to buy that stupid Leviathan fountain. Every time I wanted to, well, I've had to buy it a couple times, once or twice for myself, and then a couple times for friends because they were too poor and didn't want to go out and buy another one. So I bought it for them. But having it destroyed anytime I wanted to move really irked me because that was $500,000 to $1 million when I had initially bought it, and it was just gone like that.
Yeah, sometimes it was worth more than the house you were or no, it was worth more than, yeah, if like you were moving from one ward to the other, sometimes your furnishing was worth more than the house itself.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I know that firsthand. I bought that medium, and I think me and Shanty have put upwards of about 20 mil in furnishings inside that damn house.
Oh man.
I do believe we are going to talk about the W crossbar being added to it as well. That'll probably be just a little bit later on, though.
Yeah. Definitely jot that down in the notes. I'm doing it right
Okay.
now. While I'm doing that, let's talk about gardening. Potting
Oh,
soil.
yes.
So I've been sending in, like, there's no way in hell that they're doing this because I've been sending it in. I'm sure there's been a lot of other people sending it in. But they are finally making the change where for gardening, soil is the biggest bottleneck. I know some people think that actually owning the garden might be it, but let me tell you, if you have a network of people sharing gardens, the real bottleneck is getting enough soil, especially on smaller servers where people aren't really gathering that much. And sometimes you just want to use what we consider trash soil, like things you want to put down, just so you can get a crossbreed somewhere else. And you don't want to waste. I don't even know where that came from. You don't want to waste even grade 1 soils from other ones because it's like 5k a pop sometimes. So this potting soil, if it's cheaper than 5,000 gil, is a huge boon to the gardening community. And then on
Oh,
top of that,
yes.
they buffed gathering grade 1 and grade 2, which I don't know exact details about it, but it sounds like you'll be able to gather more than one at a time. So experienced gatherers know how to bump that up to 15 or 16 soil per run. So that is much better than 1 per hour by gathering it yourself, or up to 8 by sending out all of your retainers. Like I actually have 8 retainers, and 2 of them are botanists, and there's just no way I could sustain gardening unless I was constantly sending them out on ventures, which I just saw on the chat. They send out your botany retainer for soil, and we, Caine, we burn through soil so
Oh,
fast.
I know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
That is that is the hardest thing to deal with besides getting a perfect rotation down, which we're still figuring out. What, a year later? How to work everything out with our gardening system that we had built.
Yeah, it's not a perfect science, especially since we don't have hard numbers. It's all community gathered data, but it's there's actually there's another game hidden within the game, which is crossbreeding and efficiency in gardening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, we're just discovering all of that, and it's burning through our soil as well.
I don't. I talk to me sometime offline. We'll share some data because we have. It's sometimes you look at it and you go, this doesn't make any sense. What is happening? Or why are we doing this instead? And then you feel like, oh, I just wasted the last 3 weeks because it's all real time. Like you have to wait 4 to 5 days to see
Yeah.
results. And if something goes wrong in those 4 to 5 days, you just invalidated that data.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
trust me, I know. There's a couple times when my plants went purple, and I was pissed, and then we didn't end up getting seeds. It's like, ooh, that's bad. We just
or the,
wasted that crop.
they straight up die, and you're like, well, there goes several 100,000, if not millions of gil.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, let's share that sometime. Writing down W crossbar. Light. I think we'll be using them more because they're used in a couple crossbreeds, and hope potentially they're also good replacements for some of the hard seeds to get. Or by hard, I mean you can only gather one at a time from nodes right now, or you have to crossbreed them. And then the crossbreed chance. I hate the gardening rotations that have like multiple outcomes, because sometimes you'll get a
Oh,
seed you want, sometimes you get a trash seed. So I've avoided that as much as possible with our system, but we have one portion of it that I just hate because
fucking rolling berries.
fucking like rolling berries, come on, just trashing those every time.
Oh, the bane of my existence. Every time I get one, I'm just like, son of a bitch.
Watch though.
Whatever. I'm sending that to PJ, and that's that. Not my problem anymore.
Watch though, just our luck. They'll actually be useful for something in the next patch or whatever.
Uh-huh.
All right. So using light seeds for process, we just can't cover that. The next two things. Oh my gosh. Okay. Triple Triad Battle Hall. I think it's a good start, but it might not be good enough because you still need to zone in instead of queuing from anywhere. Like it doesn't seem like a big difference. Just oh yeah, you got another zone to go to, but that was really the biggest problem. Triple Triad was that you had to go somewhere to play the damn game, or you had to be in a house that had the appropriate furniture that let you play it in the house. Now take that and compare it to what they're changing with Lord of Verminion, which you can play via the Duty Finder. And my notes on that, and I put it in all caps. If you, oh yeah, I'm not sharing it, but I'm not sharing that screen. But I put it in all caps. This is what should have happened to Triple Triad. You should have been able to play Triple Triad anywhere, and that would get more people without needing to be in a zone, without needing to be in a house, and that would easily bring up more people, bring more people into the scene, because I kind of get how they might be trying two different methods of encouraging people to play the games and see which works better, and all of my gil is on the Duty Finder method working, being better than having to zone in to a place and find people in there to play with.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, too. I mean, they did that with Lord of Verminion, which I think will help that game, that mini game, but I think it might be too late for Lord of Verminion, to be completely honest.
Hmm. It's it's a I we okay. So we bash Square a lot, whether it's on the show or offline in Discord or TeamSpeak. But honestly, I felt like the biggest barrier of entry for Lord of Verminion was I had to be in the hall to play Lord of Verminion. The gameplay itself isn't horrible. It can definitely be tweaked, but I had to go out of my way to have an not so great time. Like you know, like why would you do that? Why would you go to Lord of Verminion? There's so many better things to do. Um, if I could queue for it from anywhere and get into a match really quick, and then maybe have a great match, maybe have a horrible match, at the very least, it was easy to do.
Well, I mean, easier for PC player versus console. I mean, console, it's kind of a pain in the ass to sit there, highlight stuff. All right, I want all these units selected. You're going to move over here. I mean, it's easier for a PC player to do the real time strategy, which Lord of Verminion is, versus me
Yes,
on a console.
there's
So,
definitely a huge a huge imbalance there when it comes to real RTS and having to play between console and PC. Like we have proof of it time and time again. We're just like you could be a superior you could be using superior tactics, but you can't respond quick enough. Yeah, and like
Yeah, that's actually how I felt about it. Because like I felt like from day one. Well, the reason why I didn't like Lord of Dominion was just because I felt like it was unfair for a lot of the controller users. But the other thing that kind of made me bitter was the time it was released was when we were stuck with Gordius Savage, and I think we were in that 8-month patch period before 3.1. So I think when Lord of Dominion was released at that time, I was kind of fed up, and then I was like super pissed. So I think that's kind of why I don't like it. But I think as a game, when I did try it, I thought it was fine. It's just that I wish that it came out in a different time period, different patch.
Yeah.
Just because of just the time it came out is kind of like why I don't like it.
See, I wish it would have came out earlier when the Gold Saucer actually first got launched. Like, if it would have launched then, I'm sure it would have been a bigger success like the Chocobo Racing was when that had originally came out. I mean, you could just go into the Chocobo Hall and there was, hundreds of people there waiting to Chocobo race, and it was fun.
I think that's a lot of nostalgia too. Like we like chocobos. That's a very broad assumption. Many people like chocobos, and a lot of people have played earlier games where chocobos are a big thing. So like that already hits us in the nostalgia. Like that already resonates with us and is a draw. Lord of Dominion is super popular, and I think I remember. Maybe don't quote me on this, but I think I remember an interview somewhere where it's popular and it's actually got a lot of interest in like Japan, but that would make sense because it's already got a following in Japan. Like people already know about it and they will go out of their way to play it. And then they play on controller because, PC Master Race, all that stuff.
Huh. I'll be the judge of that.
Did they not fix the controller support for it still, or is that actually a thing in this next patch?
You mean like fix as in like drastically make the game easier to play on a controller? Or fix a bug?
No, to make it easier to play on controller.
I haven't seen anything about that.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about it. I don't know if enough console players have complained to them about it enough.
It's better, but it still sucks. Yeah.
Okay. That kind of, I don't know. I think that would still ruin it if I decided to take it up.
Yeah. Probably don't
One
want to
day.
do another. It's
actually
kind of
play
like
on PC.
It's kind of like probably just try it on PC because it's an RTS. Like you could probably get away with it if you were playing against another a controller player. Just because it's more fair, it's more balanced that way. But just the speed at which mouse and keyboard. Hell, you know what? I kept saying PC, but like consoles can use mouse and keyboard too. So it's just the difference between mouse and keyboard versus controller, because just being able to select things and really quickly traverse the screen is huge. And that's not a new thing. Like it's something that's already been beaten to death in first-person shooters. Like just having console players versus computer players in first-person shooters. There's already a massive not difference in skill, but difference in input and speed, which is
the handicap between. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely.
Got in chat, they're resonating. They plug in a keyboard and mouse to play it, which is fine. But like I said, it's one of those things. You're going out of your way to try to enjoy something, and if it's not enjoyable, then you're not gonna keep doing that. So
exactly.
Lord of Dominion. Triple Triad real quick. One last thing. The Cyan deck is getting even better. It's already, I believe it's already the ultimate deck for general use and ascending. Definitely ascending. It's the king of ascending, I think, because it beats out so many of the other ones. Like I think it went Beastmen, then oh, I feel horrible now. I'm totally forgot the name of the people who were invading in the first
The Garlands?
the Garleans,
Garleans?
yeah. So their deck is the next best one, I think, and then there was like Primals, and then Scions beat them in terms of stats. So with the new inclusions to the Scions in Triple Triad, the Scion deck is becoming even better. So that's essentially, I feel like, the end game for Triple Triad, getting your Scion deck together. Because I just finished my Primal deck, and it's I really love it, but I really want a Scion deck now.
I don't play Triple Triad enough to actually care. I just collect the cards. So
Yeah, same. I just wanted my Brute Justice card, and that was it.
Alright, so next thing is the Wondrous Tales. I think I remember someone in chat talk about it briefly way early in the stream about how it's an interesting new thing, and I'd have to agree. I think it's a pretty good potential alternative to dailies, because you know how we love to complain about things. We're talking about
yes.
keeping things feeling fresh, which honestly, if you're doing the same thing every single day, that's gonna get boring at some point. And don't get me wrong, with Wondrous Tales, you're still doing the same things. You're just kind of getting rewarded for doing them in a different order or priority. So it's an interesting attempt on them on relieving bored players, people who log in, do their dailies, and go, I don't want to do anything else. Like, they're gonna be rewarded for attempting to change up their daily pattern.
Yeah, that's what my problem was too. I would log on and then do my days and be like, you know what? I'm done for the day already. There's nothing else I want to do. I mean, granted, I kind of slacked on getting my gathering books, and I could have used that time a little more efficiently, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. You and your 2 books. Actually, that's not bad for 3 days of work, 2 days of work. So you
Yeah.
weren't going crazy, so that's actually not that bad. New hairstyles. The only notes I have on it is go jerk off, Mike, and then I ended it with Kappa. So that's literally it. All right, that's it for that section. Anything from you guys?
No, I mean, the hairstyles, I really don't change them very often anyways. So, I mean, it's not relevant to me.
All right.
I used a basic cast character model, man. I ain't changing anytime soon.
Yeah, you were just talking about that.
Your typical Midlander hero works for me.
Default hero. I haven't changed my hairstyle in a year and a half or so. I will check it out though. I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely.
New emotes. The facepalm macro. Or no, the facepalm emote and the incoming facepalm macros.
Yes. I see lots of facepalm macros with rezzing people, especially in Savage. It's going to happen, and I will laugh every single time. Because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm definitely making one. People have talked about the macro also including the ASCII of Captain Picard in chat. So that'll be fun to watch. I'm gonna try that.
Oh man, I really hope they come out with some type of, you know how they have the all the cat macros that you can make the pictures with the cats and everything like that. I hope someone figures a way out to make a Captain Picard facepalm with the facepalm emote. Like, I'm gonna die laughing.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. All right, and then the new Highlander pose, which I haven't personally seen. I haven't been checking it out much, but it'll be awesome to see that. Small changes, small quality of life things. Now here is the big one, the diamond in the rough kind of stuff. Battle system changes. Um, Paladin damage tweak. They get a slight buff. Um, get more people, encourage more people, more paladins to play off tank. Which I've been, although I don't main paladin in any way, I'm just like, hey, we should check that out. That would be like, Caine, you're tired of me pointing it out every once in a while, going, hey, paladin should off tank, try it out. Clemency, it's awesome.
Oh, I can actually speak about that. I do that in
Oh yeah,
E6.
thank you. Yes, let's
So
talk about it real quick.
basically, with the damage tweak and the weapon delay, you actually have to look at the sword now and see which one you would take, because they're about to homogenize all the shields, right? So before, like when you had your Sheltron and you had the Ravana shield, you could mitigate 30% damage.
Ooh,
Yep, people didn't know that, huh? That's some technology, dude.
that's beautiful, man. 30% damage.
It's a Ravana shield.
crap.
And
And
the Sheltron, is that like every 30 seconds?
yeah,
Man. Oh man, 30-second damage reduction. That sounds OP.
so basically for things like if you know Thornton's Heavenly Heal, the tank buster,
Oh yeah.
you could actually mitigate 30% of that with the Sheltron with the shield. But for op tanking, as a paladin, you actually will open with a lot more damage. The thing I didn't like about this change was just that
Did we lose
I wish
him?
that there were more ways of generating TP rather than another damage buff.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Otherwise, I still think the op tanking for Paladin is actually, it just does more damage, and you're going to see a lot more strats revolve around it. But I think I think it'll be interesting to see in the next raid tier. But in A6S, you could definitely op tank the first boss.
There we go. I'm back. I'm sorry.
All right.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I don't think we lost you. I could hear you going, "Oh, did I lose connection or what?" All right. Well, thank you for that insight. That's actually really great to hear. Now that I actually have experience from it instead of just me going, "Hey, I looked at the numbers. I theorized. I think it would be awesome. I'm still working on my paladin. I'll report back when I get it to 60 and can test this out."
You'll just have to pay attention to the next set of equipment with your crafted weapons, your primal, and your next tome.
Those will be great
For the
topics.
weapon delay.
Those will be great topics, great things to ask when we do our in progression shows. When we talk about people who are rating and changes that we've seen in 3.4, because there's even more battle changes. Which, like for instance, machinists get a straight buff. It's super simple. The ammo works similar to Scholar and Summoner now, where your ammo doesn't magically disappear from your gun. Like, I mean, some people could argue that you're supercharging it and it loses potency over time, but come on, just reloading and then your gun having to reload in 30 seconds or something like that. So small change. Machinists would love it. I don't see any downside to that really. Astro. This one has been talked to death already in the what? Has it been 2 days since the patch notes went out? And we've got every show talking about it and 3 to 4 hot or trending Reddit threads on it. It's the one that people most probably care about. And the very first thing I want to talk about, it seems small, but I think it's big. It's the proc on was it Benefic 2?
Oh yes.
Like that last. It's so for those who haven't read it yet, it's to grant a 15% chance that your next Benefic 2 will be a critical heal, and that replaces the old one, which was I forgot the chance, but it instead made the next Benefic 2 an instant heal, which I actually feel it was useless and potentially detrimental because any seasoned and experienced healer will know is we're precasting. We're attempting to land a heal right after the damage is taken, and if you're an Astro and that thing procced and you accidentally Benefic 2 when they're full health and before the hit happens and it screws up your timing, It's like, come on, is that really is that really just a random extra? You just wasted my cooldown. You just wasted my Gova cooldown. You just wasted my MP. That I have to scramble to heal. That stuff like that. And it's like that was just whoever designed that. That was just lazy design in the first place.
Yeah, my
Absolutely.
Astro Elismera actually complains about this a lot. And
About the
now
instant
that she
heal.
saw a lot of the changes, she actually thinks that Astro is like the crit change is actually really nice.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I mean, I Astro is one of my secondary classes, and I just kind of screw around with it. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how much the changes are going to. I mean, it's not like game breaking or massive changes, but I mean, it's enough for everyone to notice that the Astros getting a kind of a huge buff, I guess you could say, compared to what it was. I mean, Astro was viable already at this point, but I mean, they're just kind of they've opened the doors essentially for Astro.
Yeah.
Or push them through the door. It's like, hey, it's open. We're gonna get in there. So I main Scholar, and I play Astro when I'm more comfortable with the content. Um, and so I'm really looking forward to playing Astro in the next tier. Not during, well, maybe sometimes during progression or just for fun, if we swap things around. Because I am a main scholar and I'm going to be critiquing, for instance, these shield changes from a scholar's point of view. Because, and my notes here are, holy moly, those shields. And I did some really rough math, and it might not even be right, but uh, I was comparing, for instance, Scholar's Adlo base heals, base shields, crit shields, to Astro's Aspected Benefic base heals, base shields, crit heal, and crit shields, and the numbers are showing that a a Scholar Adlo crit shield is still OP as hell. It's still super strong. However, Astro's base heals, not even the crits, Astro's base heals outshine Adlo base shields. Like it's just it shields more. And then I think even the group shield is still worthy of mentioning. And it's just the idea that it's kind of funny that it's kind of ironic that the RNG based class, the Astro, the shielding is actually more reliable than Scholar, which is only RNG based because of crit low. And I'm like, that feels kind of backwards. I mean, I love my crit lows, but like Astrologian is the one that's supposed to be RNG based, not Scholar with the crit low shields. So, um, I'm gonna get back to the draw and redraw changes, but I just kind of want to really briefly talk about how I feel the overall buffs relate to the shield changes that I just talked about, where the ash like the although I just said I just crunched the numbers now, those numbers are already very similar to before. Before it was aspected benefit was 130% instead of 170% now, but 130% is still better. Like it's still better than a base Adlo shield, and it was already more reliable than Scholar in shielding and mitigation that way. But these changes, although they're really nice straight buffs to potency and duration, it's Astro's already had like better base shields and white than Scholar. It's like it's not a huge change from the way you play Astro. Like you're gonna be shielding the same way you shield before. That's kind of like whenever anyone talks about crits and stuff and determination with scholars. Like you're gonna be these changes don't make you change the way you play. Like for instance, if a scholar gets a crit low, you bet I'm gonna drop into cleric stance, and instead of continuing to heal or shield through a tank buzz or whatever, I'll throw out some DPS instead or something like that. Like none of these changes to Astro will change what you're gonna do, really, other than make you more reliable. Especially with the draw and redraw changes. So the redraw got buffed to a 30-second recast instead of 60, which is awesome because now you can you can throw away those useless cards or not have to throw it away and be like, well, I can't do anything with cards for the next 60 seconds or 30 seconds if draw was coming up or whatever. So a lot of these changes are, I think, going to be fun to play with.
I like how the bowl card specifically. Now you don't really have to. You don't have to throw it away as much anymore, just because they buffed the percentage. So everybody can actually have a free Rampart or Shadow Skin, depending on how you want to look at it or what tank you have at that time. So the whole party could actually have a free Shadow Skin. But the more important thing is, if you're running Paladin and you have your 30% on your bowl, that Paladin actually has it's a free shield for them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really change the way that a Paladin would play, because you're trying to still predict the attacks and when to mitigate and all that. You still have to do that, but
yes,
when you're trying to like do your progression and trying to learn to fight, bowl isn't as useless.
Yeah, it gives you more room to either clean something up or try something new. It's like throw out a little bit extra DPS. Or it's nice, but like you just said, it's not going to change the tank having to be like, I'm going to keep playing as if that card was not played on me, which is the responsible thing to do. Yeah. So, what do you guys think about the buff to balance? What?
Isn't that just a free Raging Strikes?
Yeah, 10% to 20% and 5% to 10% AoE. Like, why did balance need that?
So the play is still going to be revolving around balance anyway. But like I said before, with the bull card, it's just when you're kind of learning the fight, but you're still probably going to burn it anyway. Yeah. It's just really nice to have an enhanced bull for the 45-second shadow wall. Once in a while, but otherwise, you're still probably gonna burn it.
With Astro, people don't always have to be in the mindset of how do you play it in rating. Because I mean, okay, so it's important how you play it in rating. But for instance, I love getting when I do Astro, and I actually enjoy. I might actually, and here's some what's the word I'm looking for? Blasphemy, Scholar Blasphemy. I might actually enjoy Astro more in dungeons, 4-man dungeons, or even 8-man primals that aren't so hard, or not hard, but or 8-man primals that I'm solo healing. I actually would prefer it because okay, let me go back to 4-mans real quick. I love getting a bowl that I've enhanced, and then I'm in shield stance because I still have that scholar mentality. As Astro, and so I throw a shield, I have a stone skin up, I throw the bowl on the tank, and then I do it was a collective unconscious to get a regen on the tank, and then I extend all that. I extend all of that, and if I play the regen Astro instead of a shield, I put a regen on. It's the same exact thing. I extend all of that on the tank, and I literally just DPS the rest of the trash pull. And it's like that is a different way of looking at cards when you're not trying to do when you're not trying to play your cards in a 8-person savage raid setting.
Misa actually brought up a good point in the Just Say chat. I mean, she was saying extended balance on time dilation is great for the boss fights, because that's holy crap. Time dilation is what, an extra 15 seconds or something like that?
Oh, yeah, they buffed, so time dilation plus the other one that has the stun attached to it, they buffed that from 5 to 10 seconds. Like, just throw that on a monk or a black mage and look at all that damage.
And GG, boss is going down.
We can finally skip boost in A5S, even though it's not relevant anymore. We'll finally skip boost, guys.
Finally. Well, we can go back and skip boost again.
Yeah, I kind of, after this raid tier is over, I just kind of want to go back. Or no, in 4.0, I just want to go back and like completely vastly outgear everything and just go through Alexander like we do with Coil. Because that'll be pretty fulfilling when for me personally I get to fight Living Liquid again and be like, hey, you're I don't have to do anything anymore. This is completely
Oh,
face
no.
roll. Remember all those times you stomped us?
Oh no.
This is
Right?
payback. I don't need anything from this Flora. I just want to crush you.
1 year later, we take our revenge finally.
I've actually,
Right?
I actually I brought this up briefly when we did the 3.4 patch trailer show, but the the fire living liquid. Oh no, I don't. I'm not looking forward to that.
I'm looking
That's
forward to being stuck again.
Oh yes.
I hope that's not the case.
Hitting that plateau and just like, oh god, I don't know where else to go at this point. I don't know what to try next. It's gonna be fun though. I'm looking forward to it.
This is gonna be a great patch. This is gonna be a great patch. I look forward. Okay, so I don't want to derail us too much. This is not at all related to the patch notes, but I watched the trailer, the 3.4, and then I watched the trailers for 2.4, and then I went out of order. I went 2.3, 2.2, 2.5, and I'm like, these are pretty good trailers. Like they know how to hype.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say when I started, Shiva EX had just launched, so that was like what
I think that was. Was that
2.5?
I think that was 2.4.
Because I
But
know
yeah,
shortly after that they had just unlocked T13, so you could actually go in there and start clearing it. So if I remember correctly, I could be wrong.
Shiva was 2.4. I think she came out with second coil, and then 2.5 was final coil. I think.
Okay. Yeah, because 2.5 Final Coil had just launched, so I did come right after Shiva had launched. So
And that trailer was good. That was definitely the one I
yeah,
watched right after 3.4, and I was like, wow. That was yeah. So all right. What was the next thing? I didn't want to dwell on Astro changes too much because we talked about it a lot. Other people have talked about it, but pairings real quick. White Mage and Scholar was as always easy to understand, and lots of raiders have had experience because it's been around forever. I still personally prefer Astro and Scholar when we're farming something, and then if we're like super farming something, we don't even need a Scholar. I'll either go solo heal as Astro or switch to Summoner or something. But White Mage Astro gets some love with these changes, because right now, if you see a White Mage Astro, unless they're in Savage, and they have a very specific plan in mind, they're most likely both going regen. So these changes encourage more people to use Astro Shield stance.
absolutely.
And then I want to give some love to Astro groupings, but I can't, because even though you can be like, one is in regen and one is in shield, and they're not horrible, their buffs override each other. So unless both of them are consistently royal roading only extended, and instead of royal roading and essentially not doing the AoE one ever, or trying really hard doing extra work to stagger their AoE buffs, like that's just extra stress on the healers. For I don't know, it would be kind of nice. It's kind of like Scholar, where if you both have Celine out, you can technically have a 100% uptime on Fey Wind, but that's still not perfect. Like pulling it off it's so much easier as a Scholar, but it's still not worth it in my opinion. And then the shields don't
Agree.
stack in the first place, so that's just a moot point.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have any thoughts on that?
No,
It just
I
makes
mean,
my Astro Scholar comp better for progression on our end.
Yeah.
Because I think our Astro is really good. So it's just that for her, it'll be, I don't know, it'll be just a lot more fun, I guess.
Well, that'll be
agreed.
neat. That'll be neat.
My static has an Astro Scholar combo too, so I mean, I'm curious to see how they work this out. So I'm hoping that everything's going to turn out amazing, especially with those two.
Yeah, I think mine will be going White Mage Scholar, so might have to ping you guys to be like, hey, how's Astro Scholar going?
Sounds good to
But
me.
that's the whole point of this community, where I can ask you questions like on this.
Exactly.
Healer LB3 no longer has weakness. That sounds like a small change, but that's my notes, all capital, finally, all capital case, finally. This took way too long to fix, and there's like sometimes, especially in like A8S, even if you have all healer LB3 does is it lets you live for like 10 or 20 seconds longer. It doesn't actually let you salvage the fight. Like there's that may be actually OP if it does, but like and actually that we might have to keep an eye on this to see if they might start considering this to be OP because with A8S, the stacking damage mechanic, on top of having weakness, practically guaranteed that you're gonna die like on the next set of the dance, the phase 3, phase 4 part. Like if one person dies in there and you res them, they're not living on through the next set of mechanics unless you babysit them, stone skin, shield, protect everything, right? So I don't know how that'll affect that. LB3 healer LB3 will affect it, but it might be something to keep an eye on.
Oh, absolutely.
So the one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that. I mean, anytime I've seen a healer LB3 in any instance, whether it be 4-man raid or not even 4-man raid, that's stupid. The 8-man raids or the 24-man raids, it's you only live for about 5 more seconds before the boss completely wipes the party, and then you're just like, all right, well, that was kind of a wasted LB3. We didn't even push phase. We didn't learn anything else except run around and scream like chickens with our head cut off. So
yeah, it feels like that's literally all it is at the moment. And honestly, whenever I used it in A8S, it wasn't to try to salvage the fight. It was let's see the next 20 seconds. Like that's all I want to see. I want us to well, okay, not see because we can see videos on YouTube of that, but experience. Let's experience the next 20 seconds. I want to see you. I want you to get hit by that AOE, by the ice or the puddle of fire. Like I want you to actually feel it because that's different than just seeing someone else do it.
right, exactly.
One thing I wanted to add to that was just that for something like if you played A4 Gordia Savage at all, you know how there's a sack strat,
right? With the
where you run through the pentacles. So basically, you take three people and you run them through the pentacles because you really don't have to play Nisi. So what this does is, so if you decide to ever go back there and you use the healer LB3, you can res them and they'll have no weakness because before they would have weakness.
Yeah.
And that's really big because you can just keep doing the sack strat over and over again. So I'm wondering now if in Creator, if there will be something where you might have to actually sack somebody or multiple people, bring them back, and then finish the fight.
Or maybe not even Creator, maybe in Sophia. Or yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. If there's a healer LB3 where we have to kill someone because they got zombified or something, and then res them without weakness, otherwise we won't meet the DPS check, I would love to see that.
It was like the tank mechanic in T13.
Yeah.
You had to take LB3 it to be able to survive it.
Healers and tanks
think
get to actually LB3 something. Oh, I'm so excited. This was gonna be a little like, oh hey, LB3 no longer has weakness, haha. But now I'm super excited about it. If this happens.
I hope it does. I'm really hoping it does because I can guarantee a lot of people did not expect you to have to tank LB3 and T13 to survive Terra Flare.
You just get wrecked the first time. That's a really good experience. Like, just getting wrecked the first time, but like, what are we supposed to do?
We can shield and heal through it all you want, but you're still gonna die.
It's like, did
figure it out.
Did we fuck something up, or what did we forget? And then Yoshi B's in the back going, "You forgot to LB3." Tank LB3. Okay.
So
Yeah.
the W crossbar, that is, especially for DPS, that is going to be an amazing thing, because I main ninja and I secondary my Dark Knight. I cannot wait to have all those open slots essentially for, say, my off global cooldowns like Blood for Blood or internal release, second wind, so I can actually adjust my hotbars so I can keep all my main DPS stats on one and then have my entire other ones on the W crossbars. I mean, it's going to be great.
I honestly can't relate to the change. I just imagine that it just gives you another 16 abilities, which I think is huge. I just can't relate because I use keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, I can't relate either. Although I would love to start crafting or.
I wish I could experience that though, like the controller aspect of it, because like I feel like it's actually really cool. It would be pretty cool for what Ninja Dragoon, and I guess Monk would have like much more free flowing rotation. But I don't know. I would have to experience it for myself to comment.
Yeah, it's definitely a different. You'd have to get used to it. They did a good job though, a pretty good job, I think, of making it feasible, of making controller players not feel left in the dust in terms of their capabilities and what they, not having a handicap for playing on a controller versus a keyboard or mouse. It's all user preference. It's not actually like system preference or system limitations. PS3 joke. It's not system limitations. It's user preference.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I'm back, by the way.
Okay. Yeah.
I kind of dropped again. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I'm really excited for that W crossbar. Like, I cannot wait to see how that's going to work for me.
Small quality of life tweaks similar to that. Face target no longer needs to be spammed throughout the fight, so casters will love that. I no longer have to mash. What is it? I made mine Shift F or Alt F or something, and just losing a cast is almost as bad as sitting there and doing nothing, because you literally sat there and did nothing because your global cooldown was wasted on a spell that didn't go off, which yeah, I don't know. You guys play primarily? Do you guys play primarily melee classes and don't have the casting rolls?
Yeah, you know how I feel about those.
It sucks.
Is this the change for like the boss running? Because before, when you cast a spell, it only recognized a position and not exactly like if the boss is walking or something like that.
Yeah, so like it's snapshot's not the right word, but it targets where the boss was at the start of the cast. But if they kept on walking, like let's say I was facing away from the boss and then I cast a spell, it would face me towards the boss so I could cast in the first place, because if I had this off and I was turned away from the boss, I would just get an error message on my screen saying something like can't see target or not facing target or some other bullshit that makes me not cast. What it did before this patch was it turned you to face the boss wherever they were at that moment. However, it did not track the boss unless, well, I've had mixed. I think it started to track it, but I had to press something else or some other thing. But I had inconsistencies in tracking the boss throughout the entire cast wherever they're walking, and it wasn't a huge problem when you're really far away from the boss, or even medium range. But if you were close or even melee range, because you want to hit them with that book or that staff or that card, there's a pretty good chance that if you weren't spamming face target to constantly keep tracking of where they were, you would lose your cast as they walked by you. So
that actually makes a lot of sense on why, like, I feel like my white mage just lost the cast,
Yeah.
and then it would make my experience feel like complete ass, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna DPS again. I don't know. It would just kill it for me.
Just missing it, like literally doing. I mean, you don't lose MP, but you wasted an entire global cooldown. And
Yeah, it feels like I don't know. It just feels like a waste of time. You're like, why did I even try?
yeah.
Imagine for black mages, it was super ass. So
That's even worse for black
yeah,
mages.
it's worse for them.
It's worse. Like with healers, it's like, oh shit, I lost some extra damage. With black mages, it's like, I lost some of my main damage. What the fuck? Stop moving the damn boss.
That was the difference between a Blizzard 4 refresh and like not.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly
And then
it.
you go to boost disappointed.
Boost disappointed.
Because it's always revolve around boost, right?
Yep. You gotta cater to the black mages. You gotta make group strats based on black mage.
I mean, Yoshi P plays the class, so they have to design the raid for him.
Yeah, he's probably throwing it back going, I lose. He's probably throwing it back to designers, developers going, I lose my buffs too easily with these mechanics, change it. Okay, so another thing that feels kind of small was certain parts of Midas Savage were, I guess I would say nerfed, but you still need to know the mechanics, so you can't face roll it. But then I was listening to Mr. Happy's show, reviewing the patch notes, and it makes sense. It's not really a nerf, because it's not a nerf like what they did to A6S. It's basically we don't know what composition you'll be taking into Duty Finder, so we can't be certain that you'll have silence. Because was it Paladin can silence, Ninja can silence,
Yeah.
Monk can silence, Scholar can silence, but Scholar silence is
You
just
don't want to
totally
use it for Scholar.
No, you do not want to.
You know you've reached the end times if you had to do it for Scholar Silence.
Yeah. So it's literally just becomes raid damage instead of, so it's like if you silence this, you prevent raid damage, which isn't horrible. Yeah. The cooldown reset on white. That's a big one.
The cooldown reset actually is really, really big, especially for avid Hollow Ground users like myself.
Yeah.
Where I would try to learn some things with Hollow Ground, and then at least like you could talk about the next pull instead of like watching your Netflix, or if you were me and Gordius and you pulled up Laker games. Because like you have to wait for Hollow Ground in some instances, otherwise you just don't have it at certain parts of the fight where you're trying something.
Yeah.
So I guess now I could actually test certain things and not have to wait, and then actually raid and talk about it rather than pull up Laker games and just watching like almost entire quarters.
And literally not actually raid. Like that's literally what it means.
We're not even raiding at that point.
You're not even playing. You're not doing anything. You're all off doing whatever. Yeah, so that'll be awesome. We're nitpicking on the description. It said action cooldowns. So do you think that like potions will be affected? Do you think they should?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think they should. They said Mr. Happy brought this up, and I really hope that potions are included, because that'd be dumb. Because if potions are not included, we're still waiting for them, at least for
yeah.
Well, DPS checks aren't as tight as anymore, supposedly. I know before in Gordius we were waiting on potions. There's no way we weren't.
What did we have to do in Gordius, like 6300 to pass anything?
It was ridiculous.
If you use ACT, you had to do 6300, but I think in Midas you could do less than 7K and still pass, even though it'll be a butt clinch, but you can still pass.
That was actually oh man, what part did we talk about this? I love mechanics that reward high DPS, because it lets you push things that you just repeat. Like that is nice. I wouldn't, like jails, for instance. We know jails. You have to learn all the jails, because you don't know which one's coming, so you got to be prepared for any combination at any time. But if you can skip the second set, all right, because your DPS is high, that's great. If you can skip extra damage because during the cat phase, because you push to, what was it, like 63% or whatever, that's great. You just head to the center. Like, those things are great. Skipping entire mechanics that you wouldn't like going back to a fight unsynced, that takes away from the fight. That takes away from some of the fun. But yeah, definitely rewarding DPS, high DPS, instead of demanding it is a good change.
Like Ifrit EX. God damn that fight unsynced.
That's actually funny. They punish you for high DP. The Ifrit EX,
Doesn't Leviathan also
Leviathan
punish
is
you for high
also.
DPS?
Yes,
It does.
Leviathan as well.
Although a properly mitigated group can survive Leviathan's ultimate. It's like 20. Whoa, hey, we could survive it more easily now, because it's
Yeah,
like
we could.
it's like 20,000 something damage. And I remember back in, I think it was around Gordius, we were still surviving barely, very barely. I think I had a crit low shield that I deployed as a last resort, and we somehow made it through. But I wouldn't rely on that. Or maybe I would, huh? Time to go find out, guys. Something to do in the next few weeks. Alright, so tome conversion. I wanna. Wow, we have. Show has been on for about 90 minutes, and we're nearly done. Yeah, we're nearly done. But it's been really great so far. I want to move on to tome conversion. Last time when we went from law to ESO, uh, it's a little different, and I think the last time my advice to people who wanted to ask me for it, I'm sorry guys, wanted to ask me for advice, was to hold on to them. However, this time it looks like when we go from ESO to lore, the exchange cost of the items we previously purchased would be halved. So for instance, if it required 50 ESOs before, it only requires 25 lore now, which didn't happen last time. It didn't happen with law to ESO. It went, please correct me if I'm wrong. You were able to exchange or trade in 4 law and get 1 ESO back. However, the item that you used to purchase for 50 law or whatever still cost 50 ESO. So it literally was, you were losing value on your tomes. And it's not a huge thing, but it's gonna matter for people like I think it'll matter for people like me who are going to try to really push out crafts and stuff on the very first day, and we want to get our hands on as many tome materials as possible. And so long as it's a 2-to-1 exchange rate, or so long as it's a 2-to-1 exchange rate for ESO to lore, and the price changes look similar, I think people should be holding on to their tomestones of esoterics. You guys got any input on that?
I was actually thinking about this, but I guess for the mats is just cheaper. But I'm wondering for people who are doing the relic currently, if they should just spend it on the Umbrite.
See, that's what I thought about too, because I was already almost capped out, and I was like, ooh, do I really want to, get 6 more Umbrite and push my relic further, or should I wait and see what happens with lore, because I'm almost capped on lore already, and I didn't know. I'm kind of curious how this is going to work, to be completely honest with you. I mean, it's kind of hit or miss at this point. Like, should I use my ESOs and get Umbrite and see what possibly happens, or just kind of throw caution to the wind and say I'm going to spend it all and get ESO mats or whatever. I don't know.
Interesting.
I feel like if you hard capped your lore already, you should just spend down your ESOs.
Okay.
But I don't know. That's just me though.
Yeah, because all it really does is it reduces how much farming you do after patch, which for me is important because I don't want to spend any time farming tomes. Like, that's not my priority at all. As soon as the patch drops.
Well, you and I both will be hopefully making a significant amount of money on patch days.
Yeah, I will not be doing battle stuff immediately. Other than, I mean, I'll still obviously unlock and raid so I can raid, but I won't be doing, you know, I might not even unlock expert until like I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday or Friday even.
No, 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 no. Last time a patch dropped, it was 2 weeks after patch had dropped that you had unlocked expert, and we had a.
Yeah, I kind of screwed that up. I missed the first week of Reaping City. I didn't get anything at all. That was so dumb. I'm not letting that happen this time, but yeah. Well, yeah. Crafting, gathering, savage raiding. Those are my priorities.
I still think crafting is the best thing to do in the next patch, though. I think it's been the best thing to have for the past since 3.2.
I think it's
Oh, I
I
agree.
think it's been really fun. However, I learned from last time, gatherers get the pick of the litter the very first day, because crafters can't do
Yeah,
anything without mats. Anything. I sat there because I wasn't ready with my gatherers last patch. I wasn't fully melded. I didn't have all my gear. I don't think I had all my books, but I was waiting on the first mats to start showing up on the market board, and then they were like super expensive. So this time my first several hours will be dedicated to gathering, on top of figuring out recipes and all that, but definitely gathering.
Yep, you and me both. So I'm gonna have to figure out which two books I'm going to need the most.
Yeah, I'm not giving
'Cause
out any more secrets. You guys have already made me talk too much.
we've given too much away already.
uh, so all right. Next thing. PvP, dueling. That's a hot topic. Caine's gonna have to 1v1 me, so something, and I'm pretty sure events will likely be hosted, whether it's uh, through FCs or through community events, stuff like that. And then spectator mode should be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah,
I always,
I am
yeah,
really excited for the spectator mode in PvP. One, because I personally hate going into PvP because I think it's crap. People are just jag-offs in there anyways. So getting to actually watch how people play and learning how other people do things, I mean, that's going to help tremendously, especially for people who want to get into PvP but don't want to actually like go through being called out essentially by the elitist players that are, who constantly PvP.
yeah, yeah. PvP is. Sorry, go ahead. Were you gonna say something, Genos?
no, it's like because like I was looking at the PvP, right, and it's like kind of why didn't they have spectator mode when the feast came out? That's what I always wondered.
Yeah,
They
I always wondered
yeah.
that myself too.
They just missed an opportunity.
Because I mean, for Seal Rock, it's really even in the big 24-man or the 72-man Seal Rocks. I mean, if you had 8 people always observing anyway, right? So that was pretty much spectator mode. And then the people who were actually into it, they got to fight. So it was fine. But for something like the Feast, where they were something that they were actually trying to push as a premier competitive PvP mode, I was actually surprised that they didn't push out spectator mode then, and we only get it now. I don't know. I might try to shoutcast the Feast. I think it'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, they were definitely thinking of Twitch, for instance, because they were streaming some PvP events, but in-game spectator mode is uh, it's in essence it's an iteration on that, because while Twitch stream was good, and for instance, I also play another game, MechWarrior Online, that has their tournament play, and that's evolving as well, because they originally had it was mostly the responsibility was on the actual players, the people who were playing, to stream, and then somehow the tournament refs had to um, to ensure that people are playing fairly, which is not gonna. It's hard to do when you don't have a system in place. So if you're only watching through Twitch and you only have the point of view from like 3 out of the 16 players, how do you keep an eye on the entire arena? And the spectator mode is primarily going, in my opinion, will primarily be used by the people who run tournaments. Obviously, you can invite friends when you're doing whatever, but it's going to see a lot of use in terms of refereeing tournaments and being able to spectate it and have multiple. Like, for instance, if I'm completely making this up, but if there's an organization out there that sponsored a PvP tournament, it would make perfect sense for them to take control of every single spectator mode and use that spectator seat and use that as part of their stream as a feed for them to put on their site or whatever, or record it so they can modify things in post and have the point of view of the fight from 8 different points of view. Like there's just a whole lot of usefulness that can come out of a spectator mode that is used specifically by the host. And then, like I said, if you've got friends that want to join and like do a pickup match that you just organize through Party Finder and have no stakes in it, it's really nice to be able to just invite people instead of having to do a stream through Twitch or YouTube to do that. It's just really, it does 2 things. It lowers the barrier of entry for having tournaments and being able to have people spectate it, and then it improves the tools available to the people refereeing tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it, and then I used to commentate StarCraft and Dota 2 games, so like for me, being able to kind of just like go in and try to spectate and cast the feast would be pretty interesting, or even the other PvP mode that I hardly tried. But otherwise, I don't know. I always was looking at the meme of the dueling circle is a square or something.
That was a.
And it brought up a lot of like old wrestling memes that I kept hearing. Like, it's a ring with 4 sides. And they call it the squared circle.
Oh.
So things like that, which is what I found pretty funny. Oh god, I watch too much wrestling and everybody now knows it.
I wonder if they're gonna change that. I mean, I don't think they're gonna change that. The for the longest time, the gold saucer has had the round square, and that always threw me off. Always threw me off. But now I remember it as that weird fucking place that's not named properly, and I know where it is at all times. So it's actually worked. All right, so moving on to the next topic. If we're done with PvP, fishing got some buffs that I really like. There's already fishing tricks that people have been sharing. Patience is no longer a pain in the ass, because before, if the patience timer ran out, it doesn't matter what you had on your line, there's a really high chance that you will lose it. So that's a great quality of life change. That'll actually make Caine, if we were talking about red script and blue script gathering, that I think might actually bring fishing up to near the same amount of efficiency as mining and botany again. Because before it actually used to be better, but now it's actually worse because of the buffs to the mining and botany nodes. I think with this change, you being able to potentially get 1 more may help. So for both red script and blue script, that's a pretty big boost to Fisher.
Oh yes, because I'm always panicking, like I'm watching that countdown.
Yeah.
As the buffs are dropping, I'm like, shit, am I going to have enough time to get one if it's going to hook? If not, then I'm just going to move and accept my fate for what it is.
And people don't fish to panic. Like,
exactly.
Fishing's supposed to be relaxing. Materia melding stat caps are shown. So I no longer need to point people to Ariala, Caine.
Yeah.
But I still love the site for planning things ahead of time. I think I'll still use it heavily.
Isn't that really it?
Huh?
For the materia melding? I mean, you still have to use Ariala for some things, but Like
Yeah, like
caps,
if,
you don't really. Yeah.
like if you're gonna play around how to meld it, not just what the caps are, I'll totally use Ariala for playing
Yeah.
it. Totally. So, which by the way is a great site, and I would recommend to anyone that is looking to get into rating. Because if you're rating and you're not looking at that already, what are you doing?
Right,
What are you
exactly.
doing with your melds? Come on, guys.
Parry. Just put lots of parry on every class.
Hey, maybe that'll be the stat in 4.0. We'll see how they change it.
Man, I feel like I parried more on my white mage than I ever have on my tanking classes. And that's sad.
No. Well, does parry take does parry trump block? Which one gets calculated first, block or parry?
It's they're both around the same. It's just that if there was a crit beforehand, the
Oh,
crit will take precedence over both of them.
it'll negate both. Yeah. Awareness.
So it's like if you get hit, you're still gonna get hit anyway.
Right.
All right. So new mounts and minions. The only thing I want to say about that is, hey, look at that piggy. That's
That pig, I'm stoked for.
yo, that is so cute.
I still want my hunting hawk and my dwarf rabbit, but that pig.
if you could beckon that pig and have it sit on you.
Oh god, game over. I will forget every other minion and just have that pig right on my shoulder.
So we're starting to get to the last bit of topics we have for the patch notes. We're gonna start wrapping it up. But the last few things are I wanna say farewell to no longer being able to initiate a trade of players casting a spell like teleporting or whatever.
Rip.
Can't troll you anymore, Caine. Oh my
Oh
friend.
god. It was so much fun while it lasted. It was going to happen eventually. People complained about it enough that it was going to happen. We all knew it.
Oh
God.
Time display changes, which are great for gatherers and sightseers. The RMT report functionality. Oh man, my blacklist is going to see some relief because now I can just report instead of throwing and cleaning my blacklist constantly. And then, we already talked about the W crossbar. So, are there any other topics that you guys think we should bring up that we may have missed or didn't talk about much?
Man, I wish I experienced fishing. I didn't beat Savage fast enough to experience a true endgame of PvP and fishing. So, yeah, I wish I could take up fishing. But I didn't beat Savage, so I can't do that yet. Maybe next patch, guys.
I legitimately, one of my only goals in fishing right now, or one of the reasons I took up fishing at first, was because there was a title called Master Caster. And
Yeah.
I want that so bad. Other people are doing like the big game fishing for Of Dragon's Deep, which is pretty cool because it's pretty hard to get. It was really hard to get. Now it's a bit easier. But I just love Master Caster. I want that.
How do you even get Master Caster?
It doesn't have to do with. Shit, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Catch 100 different varieties of big fish. So you don't need to catch them all, but you need to catch a lot of them. And that's a lot of big fish.
Yeah.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Apparently, in WoW, there's an NPC that is a fishing mentor whose title is Master Baiter.
we have.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I remember this.
They knew what they were doing.
This was like. They knew what they were doing. This was like a little bit after I stopped playing when they added that.
Well, speaking of names like that, we have a Master Baiter as well, and he's I think he's the head of the Carpenters Guild in Lavender Beds. So go give him a visit sometime. All right. Well, if that's with Master Baiter ending our show, I'd like to thank thank Genos. Thank you for coming out and spending, almost 2 hours with us. This is the very first time we'd ever done anything like this, or we spent a lot of time on this show. Thank you, Caine, for co-hosting this.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the people in chat, on YouTube, in the game right now, in our recording studio in game, for people who stuck it out with us for 2 hours and who showed up and gave their support before the show, like a half an hour before the show started. Thank you for being here. Wow, yeah. Shout out to the other people who support us, people on Facebook that were. I actually shared this time to the community Famfrit community page, to the FC page, and as well as my friends and family. So this is actually hitting quite a few people, and I love the encouragement we're getting for it. You guys got any shout outs you wanna give?
Nothing right off the top of my head. I mean, you pretty much hit everything on spot on. Everyone supporting us, and keep telling us to push through it and keep doing it. So here we are.
Yeah, I actually want to shout out to my wife for being really super helpful, and one, putting up with me for doing this for 2 hours, but two, while we were doing the show, she was watching and she told me that my audio sounded really quiet on the stream. So while you guys were talking, I was fiddling with my settings, and I think I boosted my mic by about like 12 decibels or something. So now it seems acceptable. But yeah, shout out to my wife for helping me fix the stream and supporting me.
Good. Well,
all right.
Shout outs?
By all means.
What do we got here?
Yeah,
I guess first and foremost, if I were to make a shout out right now, I'd have to shout out CyberPower PC for giving me the column. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to make the articles and kind of extend my why would I say it like this? A playing career? Because originally it was supposed to be for Dota 2, but what happened was I just made it into a kind of like I guess the article I did first was a streamer spotlight on one of my friends. And then I jumped into Final Fantasy XIV, which was the plan anyway. But now, since I'm going to be doing some coverage for the World First race, I'd like to thank CyberPower PC for that. If we had a video, I actually was wearing my jersey for this.
Oh, oh, that's well. Hey, I honestly, if you'd like to come back sometime,
later.
Yeah, we'll put it up. But if you'd like to come back on sometime and rep CyberPower PC, that's totally fine. I know we'd love to have you back on the show and talk about
absolutely
rating progression and changes since the patch dropped and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's been fun. I think some aspects of my life has changed since I've been posting a lot of FF14 articles. The other shout outs are to the Horizon Link Shell Situation Room and to my team in Cloud9. We actually started really late in the Midas tier. We took a chance on a few people who didn't complete A5S or had not rated prior. But what I said was that we need to start giving people more chances. And the warrior we picked up, he was really new. And he was good. It's just that he wasn't given a chance before. So shout out to Taco for being really good, and to my Astro Ellis Mera, because if I don't shout out to her, I might get stabbed, and to Ellis Carroll, Rita, Ishida, and Rekka Ryu. And that's it from my end.
or you might not get the heal you need at the time you need it.
One more shout out to Jessica for making the graphic. She's actually the person who does all my graphic stuff for CyberPower, especially when I do the articles. So the giant graphic was actually made by her. So yeah, huge shout out to her, especially for actually accepting that project. Because that's huge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing how everything progresses in this raid tier, especially on Famfrit, and like you said, the world's first clear, like that race. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be Elysium again, but you never know.
Hey, I'm excited. I'm excited to see World first. I'm excited to see Server first. I'm just excited to see more of us raiding again because the scene's not dead. We're kind of quiet.
We hit
So let's
we hit that lull, that
yeah,
silent spot.
yeah, and we can't
We do.
we unfortunately can't attribute it to the patch lull, which has been real hard this past 2-3 weeks. But uh, yeah, the community's
It's
going
been a
good.
long one. It's been a really
Mm-hmm.
long one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up for this show. One final thanks to you guys. I really appreciate you doing this. This has been really fun. And for those of you that are watching this, not as a live stream, but as an archive on YouTube, thank you for watching and sticking through with us. This is our first 2 hour show. We might have more this length because just we're starting to get more comfortable with it. We're starting to get used to it. I put up a little recording studio in my FC personal quarters. Given the show out, the people that showed up today, we might have to move it to maybe my house. Slightly more room to have more chairs and stuff. Move my furniture around, but this has been really fun. Totally worth the time. And yeah, thank you again, everyone. If you subscribe, here's the usual subscribe to us and you'll get more. But really, if you subscribe to us, if we I'm hoping we can one day have our own custom YouTube URL or just something along those lines. But we're gonna try to get more subscribers and more people and just have more people show up to this because that was really great.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I just
I
have
enjoyed having all the people there.
and shout out to who's ever currently buying my potions of dexterity for several 100,000 gil. It's showing up on the screen right now. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again, guys. Good night.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. It was fun.
Agreed.